Hey guys, welcome back. I love apple baked goods, and this is a fabulous recipe that is made up of a light sponge cake filled with apple pieces. I have even enjoyed this for breakfast with a hearty scoop of yogurt. It contains no butter except the little that you need to grease the pan. Although it has sugar, it's not very sweet. Although it contains flour, it's not a whole lot for the size of the pan. And although it has eggs, it's not very rich. Really, the whole structure comes from apples, and I love that it can be put together so quickly and easily. So let's get cooking.
We start off first by slicing our apples. I am using red apples, but you can use any apple which you like. If you are using green apple, that's perfectly fine, but you may have to slightly increase the quantity of sugar because green apples are a little too citric and sharp. Slice the apples evenly, put them into a bowl, and as you know, if you leave apples for too long, they begin to discolor, and that is not nice to have discolored apples. To prevent it from discoloring, always add some lemon juice or lime juice. It prevents it from getting black. So that's a very handy tip to always have. Also add a tiny quantity of sugar at this stage because it gives a nice flavor to the apples. The lime juice also gives a very nice citric flavor, which really enhances the flavor of the dish. Salt, citrus next with the desserts really works well. So always try and add some tiny quantity of both of these. Apples are then left for a good 10 to 12 minutes to let them just marinate in the lime juice and sugar. In the meantime, take some sugar, add some cinnamon powder to it, and a tiny quantity of nutmeg powder. So you're actually flavoring the sugar very gently with both nutmeg and with cinnamon. Mix it together. So it adds a little flavor. So when you add it on to the cake batter at the later stage, it mixes quite well. In a bowl, crack a few eggs. Whole eggs are going to go in this. I'm going to use 3 whole eggs, and oops, I have dropped a shell, so take it off. Not really a problem. As a naughty shell, there it is off. Then goes in my flavored sugar. So it's sugar, cinnamon powder, and nutmeg powder. I'm going to whisk it with the electric whisk. It is light and fluffy. Always when you're whisking it, don't do it on a very fast mode. Do it on a medium mode. Let it very gently aerate the eggs. Break down the eggs. You don't want any whites and the yolks separate. You want it all to become nice, pale, fluffy and creamy. Once that is done, a tiny quantity of vanilla extract. Vanilla also works very well with the apple. Some yogurt, natural yogurt. Yogurt gives it a very nice softness. It also imparts a certain kind of its own flavor and a subtle sourness to the cake. Gently beat this together. Make sure that the vanilla and the yogurt is mixed well with the eggs and the sugar. Don't need to over whisk them, very gently. Then goes in our plain flour or all-purpose flour. This is a very light cake, so you don't need to add too much flour into it, just enough to hold the batter together. Some baking powder, baking soda, and also a tiny quantity of salt. Like I said, salt gives a very nice flavor to the dish. Now this is again whisked together with the beater and gently fold in the flour into the egg. You want to make sure that it's all mixed well. You don't want the particles of the flour to remain separately. So make a nice smooth batter on a low mode, never into a high mode or a fast mode. Gently fold the flour into the egg. And as you can see, the color becomes nice, light and pale yellow. Don't need to overbeat the batter. Moving on to the cake tin, grease a cake tin. You need to grease it quite well so the bottom and the sides are greased well. So take some melted butter, or if you don't want to butter, you can always use oil, it works fine. Add a greaseproof paper at the base and then sprinkle in some plain flour. The plain flour helps the cake to literally become non-stick. It sticks on to the fat or the oil. So when you actually cook the cake, it peels off quite well. And what you also get is a very nice little specks around the cake. Once this is greased, at the bottom of the cake tin, arrange the slices of apple. You need to put lots of apple. This is an apple cake, so add plenty of apple. Now, you know what, if you want to use a pineapple, you can do a pineapple cake. That is your choice, but trust me, the apple works extremely well. Pour in the batter. Now, as a kid, I used to love eating the batter which was left over in the bowl. I would always tell my mom, please leave that little batter, little extra batter for me to lick it off. So fill the cake tin till it is almost 3/4 in height and arrange some more sliced apples on top. Again, pack it up quite tightly, the more the better. And when you're actually going to bake the cake, all the cakes are actually going to be seen, the apples are going to be visible on top. It looks very, very nice. Also, when you slice the cake, it gives a very nice visual effect. This will go into a preheated oven at 350 degree Fahrenheit or 180 degrees centigrade for a good 30 to 35 minutes, or till a skewer which is pierced in comes out nice and clean. So the cake is ready. It is cooled down, demolded, and finally dusted with some icing sugar. So there you have my apple cake. Bon appetit.